silent shape rises above the horizon. No cockpit, no crew, no hesitation. It scans, it locks, it strikes. This is how countries now project power. Not with boots on the ground, but with machines in the sky. Because drones aren't just gadgets, they're doctrine. From Nagorno-Karabakh to Ukraine, from the Red Sea to the line of control, unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, have redrawn the map of modern combat. They find targets, they jam communications, they strike without risking a pilot's life. And they are multiplying fast. Nations aren't merely buying drones, they're building ecosystems, sensors, satellites, AI targeting, counter-drone jammers and swarms. The new air power is not about the biggest plane, it's about the smartest network. But as the silent revolution unfolds, questions loom. Who will truly command the skies of tomorrow, and will the next war even need soldiers? Hello and welcome. You're watching Statecraft with me, Geeta Mohan. Let's start with the numbers, because behind the strategy is scale. The United States of America fields an estimated 13,000 military UAVs. Turkey has roughly 1,421. Poland, 1,209. Russia, around 1,050. Germany, about 670. India, approximately 625. France, 591. Australia, 557. South Korea, 518. Finland, 412. These figures don't tell you everything, but they tell you enough. Mass, logistics, industry. Who can sustain a fight? Who can fill losses? Who can fly again tomorrow? Numbers, though, are only chapter 1. The real story is what these fleets can do. The US inventory stretches from high-end reconnaissance and strike platforms like the MQ-9 to maritime UAVs and stealthy prototypes. Turkey's rise is powered by export champions like the Bayraktar family, drones that combine decent endurance, precision munitions, and affordability. Poland's surge is about layered procurement and local manufacturing. Russia leans on Iranian-style one-way attack drones for mass. India blends imports with a growing indigenous push, loitering munitions like Nagastra-1, tactical systems like Sky Striker, and larger projects like Tapas, Rustam-2, and Archer-NG. Capabilities are converging, but doctrines differ, and doctrine is everything. Drones have moved from nice to have to central to campaign. The Syrian civil war, the Armenia-Azerbaijan confrontations, and most decisively, the Russia-Ukraine war have been masterclasses in unmanned attrition. Cheap first-person view quadcopters turned trenches into fish bowls. Long-endurance platforms turned roads, depots, and artillery into prey. The lesson: air superiority now has two faces: traditional fighters and a buzzing cloud of expendable wings. But drone warfare didn't start yesterday. Its lineage runs from hot air balloons over Venice in 1849 to radio-controlled aerial torpedoes to the Queen Bee biplane that gave us the word drone. The Cold War saw surveillance models over China and Vietnam. West Asia saw early battlefield scouts in the 1980s. The difference today is scale and accessibility. Drones now range from palm-sized quadcopters cobbled from pesticide sprayers to naval-grade behemoths that launch smaller parasite drones mid-air. Militias can print parts. Militaries can program swarms. The barrier to entry has collapsed. Nowhere has this been clearer than in Eastern Europe. Ukraine stood up the world's first dedicated unmanned systems branch and married racing drone agility with battlefield lethality. Sub-$400 first-person view quadcopters that are FPVs square off against much pricier one-way attack drones. The math is brutal. If you can afford to lose more and fly again tomorrow, you can control tempo. Russia has hurled thousands of Shahed-type drones. Ukraine has replied with massed FPVs, long-range strikes on fuel and industry, and electronic warfare that turns the sky into a knife fight of signals. The point isn't who has the best drone, it's who has the better kill chain, the tighter production line, and the deeper bench. And then there are swarms. Once a science fiction trope, now a looming military reality. China's civilian drone leadership, dominating global commercial share, has blurred lines between light shows and logistics of war. 10,000 drones dancing above a city can be art. They can also be proof of concept, coordinated launch, formation control, collision avoidance, resilient comms. How hard is the jump from choreography to combat? Not very. Program and seekers, fused with satellite and ground radar, add loitering munitions, and you've got a storm cloud that thinks. Which brings us to South Asia, where in May, drones took center stage in one of the sharpest India-Pakistan confrontations since 1971. Triggered by a terror attack in Pahalgam that killed 26 civilians, many of them tourists, India retaliated. What followed between May 7th and May 10th was something both new and inevitable. A duel not just of artillery or aircraft, but of unmanned systems. A first for two nuclear-armed rivals with the world watching. Both sides deployed a mix. India allegedly used Israeli-origin Searcher and Heron UAVs for surveillance and Harpy or Harip loitering munitions for precision strikes, doctrinally consistent with surgical, time-sensitive targeting. Add to that the Polish Warmate and a homegrown one-way attack drone, Sky Striker, light, covert, and designed to slip under radar with an 80 to 100 km reach and a 5 to 10 kg warhead. India's indigenous lineup from Nagastra 1 to Tapas Rustam 2 and Archer NG is designed to reduce vulnerabilities to foreign supply chains while tailoring drones to the subcontinent's terrain. Pakistan countered with Turkish Bayraktar and Akinci platforms, combat-proven in multiple theaters, alongside Chinese CH-4 and Winglong 2 systems with hefty payloads and 30-plus hours of endurance. Indigenous Barak and Shapur-type drones round out the mix, and reports pointed to swarming experiments. Armed quadcopters like Azizgad, Songar, and Biker Yeeha 3 one-way drones co-developed with Turkey. The alleged play? Throw hundreds of low-cost drones at Indian air defenses, provoke sensors, map the response, and learn. India, for its part, reportedly intercepted the majority and used limited swarming of its own for cross-border messaging. Different aims, different tools. Pakistan probing, India signaling precision. What did this duel reveal? Three big things. 1. Drones create escalation space, options between silence and a full air campaign. 2. Affordability is a weapon. Losing a $500 quadcopter hurts less than losing a jet. 3. Counter-drone is the new air defense. Radar isn't enough. You need layered solutions, RF jammers, optical trackers, quick Q guns, loitering interceptors, directed energy, and the data plumbing to stitch it together. If you can't see, sort, and SWAT in seconds, you're behind. Yet, the drone race isn't only about India and Pakistan, it's a global sprint. France is building naval rotorcraft drones. Australia fields Tritons for maritime watch and Reapers for persistence. South Korea fuses domestic manufacturing with high-altitude reconnaissance. Finland embeds Israeli-designed light UAVs down to brigades. Everywhere, the trend is the same. More eyes, more endurance, more autonomy, and more resilience when GPS or comms go dark. And behind every procurement is a philosophy. The US still prizes large platforms, big wings, big sensors, long loiter, paired with exquisite munitions and a deep intelligence stack. China blends mothership carriers, modular swarms, and carrier-capable UAVs, using civilian market dominance as a foundation. Turkey bets on cost-capable designs that punch above price and export easily. Russia leans on mass and attrition. Israel focuses on high-end sensors and precision loitering. India, like many, pursues a hybrid: buy, build, and bridge. But this is not just an arms catalogue, it's a contest over concepts. Can swarms saturate defenses faster than defenders can adapt? Can AI-enabled target recognition cut kill chains to seconds without catastrophic errors? Can navies project power with unmanned surface and subsurface craft that scout, jam, and strike autonomously? Can air forces interleave manned and unmanned formations so seamlessly that a fighter pilot commands a flock of wingmen that don't need oxygen, only updates? The answer will decide more than budgets. It will define deterrence, because deterrence in the drone age is about 3 layers: what you can see, what you can hit, and how quickly you can regenerate. Lose any layer and your adversary keeps coming. Hold all 3 and you impose caution. So where does India stand? In the middle of a transition. The country's drone tally, mid-pack by global totals, conceals a far more important shift from import reliance to indigenous production and rapid field experimentation. Sky Striker-type loitering munitions and Nagastra-class systems point to scale at the tactical edge. Tapas and Archer-NG aim at persistence and depth. Civilian to military, dual-use startups and counter-drone firms are proliferating. India's task isn't just to buy drones, it's to wire a kill chain: satellites, battlefield ISR, electronic warfare, and a counter-swarm doctrine nimble enough to learn in contact. All of this might sound new. It isn't. The roots run deep. From the Queen Bee training targets of the 1930s to US radio-guided bombers in World War II. From Cold War spy drones to the Muhajir-1 over Iran-Iraq battlefields, the unmanned idea has flickered for decades. What's changed is the convergence: cheap sensors, abundant computing, AI, satellite communications, and a global supply chain that can be snapped together by a garage or by a superpower. Which brings us to the inevitable question: who leads? On paper, the United States sits at the apex. By inventory, by funding, by intelligence, architecture, and by combat record. The MQ-9 Reaper alone has become a symbol of persistent surveillance and precision strike. Ours aloft, wide area sensors, and a menu of munitions matched to the target. But leadership isn't measured in airframes alone. It's measured in what those airframes have done. For 2 decades, US drones have been the tip of the counter-terror spear across Asia and West Asia, which is also called the Middle East. In Afghanistan and Pakistan, they decapitated leadership nodes, disrupted plots, and forced terror networks into constant motion. In May 2016, a US drone strike in Pakistan killed Mullah Akhtar Mansoor, then the Taliban's leader, an action the Pentagon described as necessary to neutralize an obstacle to peace and to protect US and Afghan forces. The message was unmistakable: sanctuary is fleeting when your enemy owns the sky. In August 2021, as the US withdrew from Afghanistan, an over-the-horizon unmanned strike in Nangarhar targeted ISIS-K operatives involved in planning and facilitation, one of several rapid retaliatory actions in a chaotic window. Days later, a separate Kabul strike tragically killed civilians, an acknowledged error that underscored the ethical and operational risks of remote warfare in dense urban environments. Precision is powerful, certainty is essential. In Syria and Iraq, the anti-ISIS coalition fused drones with special operations, manned aircraft, and local partner forces under Operation Inherent Resolve. Drones watched oil facilities funding the caliphate, stalked emirs and external plotters, and provided overwatch to Kurdish-led ground advances. In November 2015, US forces targeted Mohammad Emwazi, Jihadi John, in Raqqa. Leadership strikes, logistics interdiction, and ISR were part of a larger playbook that broke ISIS's grip on cities and cash. The territorial caliphate ended in stages: Mosul, Raqqa, Baghouz, under a sky where unmanned aircraft loitered for hours, relaying every move. Even after the caliphate fell, ISIS didn't vanish, it dispersed. The US continued targeted strikes against ISIS networks in Syria's deserts, hunted external operation planners, and pressured ISIS-K, that is Khorasan, in Afghanistan. And in July 2022, a US drone strike in Kabul killed Ayman al-Zawahiri, Al-Qaeda's leader and the group's most iconic strategist since Osama bin Laden, executed with a precision Hellfire variant designed to limit collateral damage. It was a statement of reach. The United States of America could leave Afghanistan and still touch what it needed to. But leadership is never uncontested. China's drone rise is relentless. Carrier-capable craft, mothership UAVs, modular swarms, and civilian military fusion at scale. Russia is iterating in combat, buying and building mass. Turkey exports influence one Bayraktar at a time. Israel still sets the bar on sensors and loitering precision. India is building a diversified base: import where necessary, innovate where possible, integrate always. The race isn't just to build drones, it's to build the world around them. Launch, find, decide, strike, assess, again and again. From Washington to Beijing, Ankara to Delhi, the moral ledger is as pressing as the tactical one. Drones lower the political threshold to use force. They can also raise the ethical stakes when mistakes occur. Transparency, rigor in target development, and accountable rules of engagement aren't just legal necessities, they're strategic armor. Legitimacy is a weapon too. Which brings us back to where we began, the claim of American drone dominance. Strip away the theatrics and you find a record. 2 decades of persistent ISR, precision strikes against terror networks, and an unmatched ability to integrate drones with satellites, cyber, special operations, and allied ground forces. From Syria's Raqqa to Iraq's Anbar, from eastern Afghanistan to the tribal areas across the border, US drones have hunted ISIS planners, shielded partner troops, and dismantled safe houses that once felt invulnerable. In 2015, the strike targeting Jihadi John set a tone. In 2016, the Mansour strike crossed borders to hit an active threat. In 2021, over-the-horizon pressure signaled that distance no longer shields planners. And in 2022, the Zawahiri strike confirmed that time doesn't either. Does that mean the United States will always lead? Not necessarily. China's scale, Russia's attrition, Turkey's exports, Israel's precision, India's innovation, each pushes the frontier. But leadership isn't just the latest airframe. It's the sum of intelligence, industry, alliances, and accountability. On that calculus today, the United States of America still sits ahead, tested in West Asia and South Asia, tempered by successes and by costly lessons. That record of reach, integration, and results still sets the pace in the drone age. And that is why, for now, America remains the benchmark others chase. In the end, drones aren't a strategy, they're an instrument. They can reveal, deter, punish, and protect. They can also misread, misfire, and mislead if the human calculus goes missing. The future will belong to those who pair machines with judgment, mass with restraint, and speed with scrutiny. Because the promise of drones is not that they make war easier, but that they might make the right wars harder to start and the wrong wars shorter to end. Thank you for watching Statecraft.